Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's in-session artist collectives and collaborations across the music industry. You'll get 3 unique perspectives about new ways to collaborate, to further your career, and create music in new ways. So I'm excited because I'm joined by some incredible folks. We have Patience Sings, Brandon John, and Cam Parsons. Let's start with you, Cam. Can you just come off mute, let the folks know who you are, and your preferred gender pronouns?
I was hoping to go last, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm Cam Parsons. I am the artist coordinator for Sofar Sounds. I'm a neo-soul violinist. I do artist and influencer partnerships. So I pretty much try to do it all. My pronouns are he, him.
Love that. Thank you, Cam. Yes, Patience, can you let us know who you are and your preferred gender pronouns?
Hey y'all, my name is Patience Sings. My pronouns are she, they. I am the one half of a band called the Peace and Bodyroll duo BOOMscat. I am also the founder and owner of a collective in Silver Spring, Maryland called the Mojuba Collective, where we create spaces for Black queer and Black queer adjacent folks to come create, take pictures, put on shows. And yeah, I've been curating for about 10 years and I've been performing for about 15, so. That's me.
Love it. Yes. Last but not least, Brandon, can you let us know who you are and your preferred gender pronouns?
I'm Brandon John. My pronouns are he, him. I am a producer, songwriter, engineer based in New York. I am the founder and owner of a collective called A Night In, where we perform monthly events in different cities throughout the USA, and also executive producer for Love Song Studios.
Love it. Yes. Listen, if y'all aren't excited, I'm gonna need y'all to get excited because these folks are powerhouses and incredible creatives. So I'm excited to jump in. But before we jump into the nitty gritty, we have a few housekeeping items to cover. So this here is a supportive and uplifting space. So we want to make sure that we keep that in mind as we jump into the chat. Feel free to use that chat to let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know how you're feeling, if you're vibing with the information that we're sharing, all those good things. Also, the chat function, make sure to change that blue bar to everyone so that we can all see what you're trying to say and be a part of that conversation. Also, if you have any questions that come up during this conversation, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Feel free to drop your questions in there and we will get to those questions toward the end. The first 45 minutes of our chat will be all about collaboration in the music industry, and then the last 15 minutes will be about the things you guys want to know, answering those questions. So keep that in mind. If you have anything, drop it in that Q&A function. And also, you're going to receive you'll receive a survey at the end to let us know how you felt about this webinar and any other topics you'd like for us to cover in session. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to jump into it here for the reason why you guys are here. Let's get started. So why is collaboration a part of your personal working style? Let's start with you, Patience. Why is collaboration a part of what you do?
I know people say this all the time, but there's an old African proverb that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go collectively, right? I'm saying it a little bit wrong, but I think that community has saved my life time and time again as a queer Black person. And the only way to really go the distance for your community is to utilize, right? Like to utilize the resources, to support them as they support you. I always say, don't block your blessings when people want to give you resources, right? So you have to make sure that your blessings are full and going around. And so I think community has always been the basis of my personal life. So it had to be the basis of my work life. And so curatorial spaces that revolve around my community are super important. And I want to be able to create a collective where everybody eats. Everybody got to eat. So everybody eating is the basis for the importance of my work.
Yes, I love that. Anybody else want to chime in as to why collaboration is
I can add on to what Patience just said. Just like her, I was raised by a community of people, just not by my mom and my dad. So that is a reflection in my work environment as well. And let's keep it real. Like, you can't really do anything by yourself. You need
So
other
true.
people on your team to do some of the things that you don't want to do, and help you along the way and help you do the things that you do want to do. So it's a necessity. It's a life necessity at the end of the day.
Love that. Cam?
Yeah, I definitely like to echo that sentiment. Like, community and the collectives are literally the building blocks of your foundation. You need that community to help you figure out what you stand on and how you can move further. I'm very much an advocate of, like, as you go, as you grow, you reach back into that community and everybody that's helped you, and we all together. Echo and patience, man. If I eat, we all eat. Period.
Yes. Yes. And yes, I love that. This space just feels so good. Love all of that. So what do you enjoy most about that experience and the process of collaboration?
For me, it would be the accountability that comes along. Having somebody else, when it comes to producing, sometimes in the room or the studio, if I'm by myself, there's a lot of tracks that I'll create that I won't like or I won't finish just because I'm not feeling that vibe. But there's been other times where I had people in the room with me and I may not be feeling the vibe of that track, but they're loving it, which allows me to go ahead and continue working on that track and to actually finish it through. So for me, the biggest part, like I said, is accountability and having those people just to keep you pushing you along, or tell you, or at the same time tell you, like, yo, that's whack. Let's do something. I think those people in your corner. So
yes,
I think the biggest part for me is definitely, that self-discovery. When you're working with other people and you're in the heat of a project or you're trying to grow, you very much realize how you work with other people and how your ideas collectively add to it. But also, you aren't the biggest fish in the room. Your ego can't be the one that takes over, because when you listen and you work together, so much magic happens. It's truly amazing.
For me, it's the collective joy. It's like the creation of collective joy. Like, I just had a show and created a space this week based on Black queer experiences and Black spirituality. And we brought somebody in from LA. And when I tell you, it wasn't a church space, but it felt like church. The band ended up playing Thank You by Mary Mary. And it was just such a good time. You could see on folks' faces the collective joy. And I always think about, like, how we create TikTok dances and how we create reels and all of these things, and the joy of collection and community is always my favorite part of curating spaces with other people.
Yes, I love that. All 3 points are just, like, incredible. Shout out to Danny Cassette, who is incredible. If you don't know, go ahead and make that happen. And that kind of, like, takes me to the next question that I have. As you all talk about, your own kind of portion of that space, is how does that collaboration impact your own artistry and your own authenticity as you're working with other, really, really talented people? Let's go for you, Cam.
All right, let's get it. So I'm a classically trained violinist of like 20 years. So, like, my whole foundation is you have to be a part of the orchestra sometimes. You have to, be your best self to promote the best selves of everyone else around. So, like, when it comes to my experiences and my growth, all I know is how to be a part of the team. All I know is how to be a team player and how to collaborate so that we can all make beautiful music in the end. So, like, when it comes to literally everything I do, even booking artists for Sofar, I'm thinking, hey, okay, this artist is an amazing piano player. Maybe if they perform with this person who is an amazing guitar player, they'll create some synergy along the way. So, like, when it comes to my own personal growth and my own personal journey, like, that collaboration aspect is one of my foundations.
Love that. Brandon, any thoughts on how that impacts you?
As a producer, working with different artists, right? Having to be open to the different sounds and different styles, or working with different brands and being open to what they want. I have to learn new things. I have to continue to grow and expand my palette as far as producing. One, to stay up with the times, but to make sure that I am bringing the vision to light of what this artist or what this brand wants, right? So I know that having to work with other people, I know I have to always continue to better myself over and over again. I think Patience said it. I think she said iron sharpens iron. Did you say that earlier?
Nope, but I thought it. Yes.
Okay. But having those people or those things, working with those makes me better, and it also at the same time makes them better. So that's how it contributes to my growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think just to extend on what you all said, Brandon and Cam, it's a learning experience for me. I have the privilege of surrounding myself with people that are better than me, right, at all the things that they do. So I get to learn, and as they are their authentic, best, favorite selves, I have permission to be my most authentic self. And I think being able to surround myself with people who are just amazing and walking in their talent and walking in their gifts, I give myself permission to do the same thing.
Yes, I love that. Favorite self. I've never heard that, and it hit so deep. That is everything.
Shout out to Queen
Yes.
for that. So yeah.
Love that. Yeah. And it's important. I think that, it's a testament to you all's creative power, and that, these nuggets that you're dropping about how it relates to your own authenticity. It was nothing about you losing yourself. It was all about elevation and inspiration to continue to be better, which is incredible. So shout out to y'all. Brandon, let's start with you. What advice can you give artists on getting into the room? So getting in there to try to even start networking.
I think it starts with just being a good person. In so many situations, and I'll tell you a story. This is a background singer named Tiffany Stevens. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with her, but she told a story maybe a couple years ago, and she said, listen, I've never auditioned for any background gig. She's performed with Nicki Minaj, Mary J. Blige, Nelly, anybody you could think of. She's sung with them, gospel, anything. And she said, I never auditioned for anything. And the first gig I got was because I met this girl who was singing background for Mary J. Blige. She never heard me sing. And she just liked me. And she called me a week later and just said, hey, do you want to come sing backgrounds? And it ended up being for Mary J. Blige. And that actually ended up starting her career. Us musicians, or just people in music, just like we hang around other musicians. We hang around other people who do what we do. And that's kind of like how we collab. So like, if somebody likes you, they're going to invite you to the studio. They're going to invite you to wherever they are, invite you to their gig. And you just build a relationship that way, and just on a friendship on a level. Like, everybody I know works with their friends. Simple as that. So in that field, just be a good person.
Love that advice. Anybody else want to chime in?
I think that's it.
That's definitely that's one of my favorite topics in general, is getting into the room. Like, my biggest advice to anyone when it comes to getting into the room is that you have to be your authentic self and know what you bring to the table. Because once you make it into that room and you're in that space, you have to know what you offer. Because when it gets called upon, if you don't know, they don't know. Mm-hmm. So now you're wasting that opportunity and you're wasting that time. So my biggest advice is definitely know what you bring to that space.
I love that. I feel like that, is a lesson in life, period. Like, regardless of what spaces you're in, like, knowing who you are, knowing what you bring to the table is super important. So once they're in the room, next steps, like, what are some best practices for networking and following up with folks to keep that connection kind of warm and that collaboration going?
Get everybody's social media contacts when you get in the room, just, and comment on their pictures. Like, that way they don't forget about you. And they remember who you are, and they're staying up to date what you're doing, right? So if they see you having success, obviously on social media, right? They want to be a part of that, so they're gonna reach out to you. Hey, what are you doing? Or when you reach out to them, they're seeing what you're doing, where they're like, all right, you have this on the table. We can come together and do this and make something bigger.
Love that. Cam, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I definitely say, when you're in that space, follow up, like, reach out to everybody. Like, one of my biggest things is that whenever I want to get into a room, I already know who's in that space. So when I go into that space, I'm like, okay, cool. That's the A&R at Def Jam. That's a super producer. That's this person. That's that person. So in that moment, I go introduce myself. I'm getting their socials. I'm making sure that they get my socials and my information, because me having it is not enough, because I can follow and shoot a DM and it's just going to go quiet. But if I'm making sure they follow me back or they see who I am, we going to get some space. And then my biggest thing is my follow-up game is I give it 24 hours. you have 24 hours from the event or the initial meeting to hit that person up and say, hey, it was great meeting you at the premiere. It was great seeing you in Walmart, you know?
Yes, Walmart.
Whatever that space in that room is, you have to take advantage of it and make sure they remember you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Patience, did you want to add anything?
No, they said it. Follow up. Make sure people following you, right? Like, make sure they are following you. Like, well, I follow you back. Just you go ahead and follow me and connect with folks. Social media is such a game changer in that way. So make sure you are connecting with folks and being your most authentic self in that space. Once you get in there, don't switch it up now that you're in the room.
Love it. Is there anything that you feel like you have to make sure someone knows before you leave the room? Like, besides your social media handle, is there anything that you always make sure to like emphasize or to say first before you leave the room when you meet someone that you want to collaborate with?
I would say somehow being able to, maybe in a short way, tell your story, right? People connect with stories, right? And who you are as a person. So, you know, if they can see something that is, they can see something in you that they see in themselves, it's a lot easier to make a connection. So somehow, you know, share a tiny story that they can, you know, connect to you, connect to your name, connect to the face. So now you kind of reach all levels you might have now. They don't know your name, but now they have an emotion to connect to it.
I love that.
Something I learned early on was like the nonverbal is even more important than the verbal. So whenever I enter a space, you know, I have the Afro pick that lets you know I'm for the culture. I wear my cross. I'm with Jesus. I wear my alpha wristband. So, you know, I'm with the fraternity. So, you know, I'm promoting this is who I am authentically in every space. And let me tell you, wearing this Afro pick in business meeting with CEOs all the way up to the Grammys, like it's weird, but it's like, you know, this is who I am. I'm not altering who I am for anyone else anymore because I only want to promote this authentic version of myself. So when I'm in that space, I'm like, hey, this is who I am. But then the verbal part is I want to make sure before I leave that room, you're going to know I'm the hardest worker. I'm not afraid to do the work, and I've been doing the work. And before I leave any space, everybody has to know that.
Yes. Let everything speak for you. And then I'm the hardest working one up in here. Patience.
Rep your sets. I love that. I'm with Jesus was my favorite. I like that. I think for me, I like being a weird person in the room. I'm gonna light my Palo Santo. I'm gonna pull some incense out my bag. I'm gonna ask you what your sign is and if you know your moon and rising. And I might pull up astro.com and put it into my phone. And so I've made a lot of connections that way because people will be like, well, Patience knows about astrology and it feels like Saturn is in retrograde and I don't know what's going on. And I've gotten a lot of calls from like engineers and other artists to do Reiki or talk about astrology. So I always incorporate my healing work when I'm in those spaces because that's who I am at all times. And so that has kind of been my connection to folks, and it extends a lifeline. Like I rep my astrology set a lot, you know, like, oh, what's your sign? Are you know, and people automatically think I'm an expert because I know more than just your sun sign. So I'm around with that all the time.
Yes. I love that.
Inside.
Yes. And I think, you know, all of you touched on very different but very similar aspects. Is like when you go into certain spaces, sometimes we like diminish ourselves or we make ourselves smaller to fit into whatever this particular topic is. So if we're in a space for curation, then sometimes we'll shrink to be a curator, or if we're in a space for production, we'll shrink and just be a producer for today. But like there's so much that everybody has going on to like show up not just as your authentic self, but as your full authentic self and all of what you are, because you never know those connections and where people where all of what you are is needed. So I love that advice. So we in the room, we've got a collaboration going, we've connected on social media, we're ready to work together. How can an artist, in your experience, best prepare for a collaboration?
Leave your ego at the door.
I was getting ready to say the same thing.
Leave the ego outside. Be able to take feedback and criticism. Working with different people means that you have to work with different energies, and it's not always going to be what you want it to be, right? Sometimes people don't know how to talk to folks. And I'm not saying shrink yourself and let people talk to you any kind of way, but sometimes you have to think about it and like, is this person talking to me this way because it's a personal vendetta? And even if it is, how do I temper my responses, right? Which is a life lesson. How do I temper how I respond to things that don't align with what I'm feeling good about, right? If I can respond differently, maybe I can get past this wall with this person. And a lot of that just means you got to leave your ego somewhere in a box, you know, to be able to deal with other people, because all you can control is what you do. That's the only thing you have control over, is how you respond and how you react. So leaving your ego, leaving how you take criticism is really hard, but it's something that you have to, it's a muscle that you have to exercise.
And you can't really even create good music with the ego in the front at the end of the day. So yeah, get rid of that.
1,000,000%. Everybody can't be Beyonce all the time. Gotta be, look, sometimes you gotta be the other people in Destiny's Child, you know?
Beyonce can't even Beyonce all the time.
That part.
Facts. Everybody needs that break. Yes, I love that. Leave the ego at the door. And I feel like that's probably one of the most easily accessible things to do. You know, sometimes we think about, oh, you need to have this program, or oh, you need to do this thing, or download XYZ, but it's you. You know, you're your biggest asset in these situations. So love that advice on leaving that ego at the door. Now, when you work with folks, what is a clear sign of a professional? And is that even a factor in when you decide, you know, who you're going to say yes to on the whole collaboration side? So what makes someone professional, and do you care about that part when you're collaborating? Start with you, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, definitely. I do very much care about that. I have two ways. Obviously, people showing up on time and being ready to work when they get there. But a lot of times, you know, I like to have meetings with artists first, and then I'll wait 3 or 4 months to work with them after that. And the reason for that is to see, okay, after we have a meeting, are you going to continue doing your job and working and creating without me being a part of it? Right? If I have to be a part of this thing for it to happen, I know that's a clear sign that I need to get out, and this is not who I need to work with. I want to work with people who are already helping themselves. And that's the first sign of professionalism in that I see, or being able to weed out people has been like one of the biggest things I've learned to do, to figure out, all right, who should I be working with and who I shouldn't be working with.
I love that.
I'm very big on the fact that it's like time and consistency. When it comes to time, everybody knows I'm that crazy person on time. I'm always early for everything. I don't really believe in being late. If you're gonna be late, you gotta let me know so I can make arrangements. I'm that crazy person that show up to the airport hours in advance. That's just, I'm a huge stickler about time. And if you can't be consistent, if I have to be the one always checking in on the project, so if I have to be the one to make sure you're doing what needs to be done 24/7, and I don't have time to focus on my stuff, that's we can't work together very long.
That's real.
This is one that's going to be for my neurodiverse people who don't have a real concept of time, but are really trying. That's me. Time is a social construct to me that I have been trying to really deal with myself about. I'm getting better, right? So professionalism to me sometimes looks a little bit different. It's like, are you teachable? Are you able to be in a space, folks? And again, not assert your ego. For me, it's like we can get past the timepiece because that doesn't have a moral like compass. That's not a part of the moral compass for me. I know me. I'm a good person. I'm a really nice person. I'm a loving person. I don't understand time yet. My 33 years on this earth, I ain't figured it out. But I think being able to be teachable and to put your ego to the side is what is professional to me. Are you going to come into the space sober and ready to work? Right? Like, are you going to come? Because that's the thing. Sometimes when you come to the studio, people think that the studio is a place to get drunk and get high. And really, it's a different game now, right? We are in a space where studio time costs money. I do understand that concept of time. Do understand that. But we're in a space where studio time costs money. So you have to be ready to work and show up and to move through the space. Like, even if you don't know what everything means, even if you don't know what all the settings and the tweeters and the knobs and the buttons are you ready to learn and figure out in in a good amount of time what you need to do to get this done. So.
I love that. And another lesson that kind of brings it all together is that you got to know who you're working with, because everybody's, sense of respect, professionalism, what their expectations are. Everybody's different. So if you don't know who you're collaborating with on a deeper level than just, they're dope artists, you may show up on time and then they're not on time because that's not their role, that's not how they roll. And then, you're on the outs, or you don't understand. So it's definitely important to understand who you're working with and level set on that, on those expectations, so that we all kind of come into the room ready. So that kind of also brings me to the next. Oh, was someone going to say something? No, I'm tripping. That's cool. So that brings me to my next question. And Brandon, you kind of touched on this a bit. Are there any things that you do before you collaborate with someone that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the music itself? So like you meet up for coffee, or you have a Zoom call, or you do a reading of their astrology. Like, is there anything you do before you work with someone, just to kind of figure them out on a different level?
Yeah, like I said, I have meetings with artists first. I usually invite them to the studio, play their music, play some stuff that I've been working on, and just vibe out, learn their story, learn who they are as people, before we even get to work. That way, when next time they come, they're just comfortable. Yeah, basically, that's about it for me.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm very much like, I love to find the human aspect. Like, I also believe in like stories. So like, if I don't know your story and I don't believe in you as a person, how can I believe in the product we're trying to create? So like, I'm definitely one of those people where like, we at least got to hop on a little call or a FaceTime beforehand, but I prefer to I don't drink coffee, I drink tea. So we can go grab tea somewhere or go to dinner or lunch and just connect on a human level outside of the music, outside of the work. But I feel like when it comes to my work and my project, I always have to be able to believe in who you are and what you stand on before we can even start doing business.
Love that.
And like I said, I'm a real woo-woo person. So I'm as the kids say, a vibe check type of person. So if, our energy connects, if our energy is in alignment in a specific way, I can usually tell if I want to work with somebody, whether they're difficult or not. Is this going to be worth it? Is for me, like, is the energy going to be worth it? And so that usually consists of a quick phone call or even text message sometimes, to kind of get the feel of whether you laugh at my jokes or not. Like, I'm funny. If you don't laugh at my jokes, we might not be able to do this.
And then that's it. Love it.
No, I'm definitely an energetic type of person. Just connect, like you said, on a human level and energetic level.
I love that. And no woo woo, like, you're dope. Like, that is an incredible gift that you have. So definitely excited that this is a part of the conversation. So yes, we've all, jumped into the collaborations. Now we're going to jump into collectives. So for folks who don't know, what is an artist collective, and what benefits do you see as being a part of one of them?
So my artist collective consists of me, a producer, two recording artists, another instrumentalist / artist, a DJ, and a fashion designer. What that allows us to do is work as a unit outside of just doing our individual work. When we work together, it allows us to have shows. It allows us to take our money and put it together and create something bigger than just us separately doing it. And and at the same time, bring a highlight to one person's talent. We can highlight others' talents at the same time.
I love that. Anyone else want to jump in on their definition of an artist collective and the benefits?
Yeah, I can jump in. So I have a company called Collective 25, and this artist collective it promotes cross collaboration across mediums, genre, instrumentation, all of that. So every once in a while, I'll do it's called the collective experience, where if I'm a violinist, I perform in the background of my friend who's a chef. So we'll do a video together. Or if you're a piano player, you collaborate with the spoken word artist. And I've used that as a way to connect creatives I live in Los Angeles now, but I'm from Louisiana. Shout out to the 318. So I collect creatives. I collaborate the creatives all the way across, and everyone like just works together. So like it's building that community and kind of breaking down all those barriers of like, oh, I've never been to California, but this dude is killing it on the bass, and we both love music. Let's build there. Let's start there. Let's break down all those barriers. So I see collectives as a way of, again, finding that human aspect and building with other people.
Mm-hmm.
For me, collectives have been, and this is my second collective, have been a way to have folks a part of a group where one person lacks something, it's made up for in other ways. I'm not the best at logistical things all the time, again, neurodivergent. And so I drop things from time to time. Having a collective of folks who are very consistent in their spreadsheet making, like arts administrators, folks who know how to create contracts, right? Like know how to do all of those things better than I know how to do them. It kind of makes up for it. This collective that I actually founded came about because my mom transitioned 5 years ago and she left me a brick and mortar building. And so we tried to rent it out as a space and it didn't work that way. And because I'm so centered around community and making sure folks have a space, and people told me, well, you can't keep giving this space for free because your rent, I mean, I don't pay rent, but your mortgage, I don't have all of those things, but property taxes are expensive, right? Electricity is expensive. And so they were like, please stop. And they kind of fell in line and was like, you have a group and a team of people, let's put something into place so that you're not just giving away things for free. And so that's what, how Mojuba Collective came about. And so now we have a brick and mortar space. But where I lack, which is a lot, right? There are so many people who are amazing at the things that I can't always do.
Wow. First, I'm so sorry for your loss. So glad that you were able to do something so beautiful with that gift that you were given, and sending you love always. But that is incredible. And I think that the reasons why you all do what you do is flourishing through what you do. So anybody, like, yes, I love all of what you guys are doing. And from what we've said before, and just how you all enjoy kind of collaborating with folks, do you find that has transitioned over into your, like, how you accept people into your artist collective? And that's probably not the right word to use, but how do you go about including or introducing folks into the collective itself? Is it more organic, or do you prefer, more formal introductions and like applications and things like that?
I prefer things to be more organic. I believe in reaching across the table. So, like I said, I've always talked about friends. Everybody who's in my collective was a friend first before they became part of the collective. And they got into it by just wanting to add to it without wanting to be in the collective. They started adding to it, like, okay, I can do this to help you guys out, and just being around. And they end up being in it. So I like it better organic. That way it's deeper rooted than just them trying to get something out of it.
I'm more with the organic route as well. In the words of Patience, vibe check. I got to see, who you are, and if the energy matches me and matches the other people around. If I feel like you're a good fit, I'm with it. We can grow together. We can collaborate, because trust is one of the biggest things to me. So if the vibe ain't right and I can't trust it, we can't do business.
Yep, vibe check for me. Like, it has to be organic. Don't get me wrong, Google Forms is where it's at. However, we can do that on the back end. We got to see, if this is actually something we want to do,
I love that, the vibe check, because I mean, that makes sense. If it's a collective, you're spending a lot of time together, other folks are then collaborating with those same folks. And it's almost like, if one thing is off, it could just, disturb the entire ecosystem. So the vibe checks are important for sure. So you talked to Patience about, having someone who can write contracts and, someone who's strong on the spreadsheets. What tips do you have for managing the financial part of these collectives when you start to make money?
Woo, pass. I'm just kidding. Hire an accountant. Hire So hire an accountant or have an accountant be a part of your collective, or actually hire an accountant, right? Make sure it's somebody that you trust and you can be, open with and honest with, and that you'll take criticism from. But make sure you have an accountant, make sure you have a lawyer, and make sure you have, money person, a lawyer, and insurance, right? Like if you are creating a business, make sure you have all of the things that you need to sustain yourself. For a long time, I was vibe checking on a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have been vibe checking on. And so once you get to a space where you can afford to either barter or even pay someone to manage your money, do that, because I will give everything away. And God said no. I was like, look, I only asked for 10%. You can't give everybody else the other 90, like you gotta keep it, right? So I think make sure you have someone on your team who actually knows how to crunch numbers, who actually knows how to create a budget and knows what to do with the budget. Because you can spreadsheet a budget all day and just stare at it, but make sure you know someone who can help you make sure you can write things off, that your taxes are not a bajillion dollars, that you know how to, manage your money so that you are not in a starving artist place, because you don't have to exist that way. Like there's so many things for us to do that we get to eat, and we get to create spaces where we're eating well. We don't have to live that way anymore. Hire an accountant and a lawyer.
I just want to say shout out to my moms, because she do taxes and bookkeeping. So I call her 50 times like, hey, what's that DBA information? What's that LLC? What that money looking like again? So shout out to moms on that. And then shout out to my fraternity brothers. Like building a tribe is so important, and building that collective is so important, because I have like a million fraternity brothers who are lawyers. So whenever I have questions about like zoning or permits, hey, what did you say we had to do to activate in that space real quick? What you said I had to do about this money? You said I can't keep all of it for myself. That's business. Okay. I ask questions and I build the right tribe. So like that's extremely important, especially as you grow and start to expand.
Yeah, just like him, my father's an accountant as well. So he's given me a lot of tips and tricks. But if you can't hire an accountant, QuickBooks will be the best thing that you could ever have. It tracks all your spending out of your cards, out of your credit cards, out of everything, input and output. And that is very simple. You can connect your accountant to it so your accountant can see it when it comes tax season. So QuickBooks has been the best lifesaver I've ever had.
Love that. Shout out to Cam's mom, Brandon's dad, and Cam's cell phone. Like the best ever. Yes.
I think if I could just split, y'all need a sister.
Right. Can we merge, have branches? What's the deal? Love that. No, that's incredible. Great advice. Get somebody else to manage that money for you. I'm definitely one to be looking at a budget and just staring at it, as it just does not work. So yes, jotting down notes as we speak. So grateful for it. What advice, if any, do you have for artists that are looking to join or start a collective?
If you're looking to start a collective, just start. Find one of it only takes one other person to have a collective, two, right? It's all you need. So find one other person who is, I would say, not doing exactly the same thing you're doing, but find somebody else who you may need and they need you, right? An artist needs a producer, artist needs a songwriter, an instrumentalist needs another instrumentalist. Find somebody who, yes, you need, and you all join forces and just start with the two of you. And from there it'll grow. Because once it starts moving, it's gonna be somebody else who's looking for you. And they will find you when the time is right and when it's time for you to grow. So just start.
No, I just want to say you hit that right on the head. It's literally just start. We spend so much time in the planning phase and the wanting to do this and thinking about that, and we miss out on the execution phase. And when you miss out on that, you're missing out on opportunities. You're losing ground on projects you could have been started with. So like I'm a huge proponent on just get started. Just get started.
Love that. No analysis paralysis over here. Just start. Anything you want to add, Patience?
Nope, just
no
start.
Pressure. Yes. Love that. Awesome. So, like we said already, you all have already started your own collectives, your own entities across the gamut. What inspired you to make that move, and why start your own versus joining something that has already been established?
Mine came out of necessity. We were tired of dealing with promoters and clubs and venues trying to have shows. And one night, on me and my friends like, listen, let's do a show in my apartment. Boom. And that's literally how it started. And people came and we kept doing it, and it just kept growing. So like I said, just start idea and just do it. And a lot of times, like I said, most people start their collectives because they need a team or they need to work with people. So out of necessity for me.
Awesome. And is there any, like, were there any other kind of groups that were around that you could have joined and just opted to do your own thing? Or there was, you did it to just help out the folks in your
No,
space?
yeah, I've been never the type of person to join a group. I've always been like, I want to start something and start it from fresh, because when starting from fresh, then it's like, it's your baby one, but like, coming into a group, they have something already established in the foundation and what they're trying to do. So if you're not in alignment with that, you might clash. But starting your own is now everything that comes into it at the beginning. If it's not in alignment, you could just say no to it. And if it's in alignment with you, add it to your group. So I always think it's just better to start one. For me.
Love that. Love that. Anyone else want to chime in on why they started their collective?
I can tap in on that one as well. Mine also came from like that place of necessity. Like, one thing that's lacking in the music industry for beginning people and intro artists is the education aspect. Nobody knows what to look for. Nobody knows that you can do corporate partnerships, or they don't know how to get sponsors. They don't even know that if someone emails you from an @Gmail account saying they're the head of A&R at Interscope, they lying. A lot of people don't know that. So like, my collective started from the fact that we had to enlighten the industry. We had to give back to people and say, yo, if this man say he Cameron.Parsons at Gmail, and I'm trying to get you to send me $500 and I listen to your music, it's a scam because it's not coming from my corporate email. Nobody's gonna hit you up from a at Yahoo, at Hotmail, at Bing, and say they the head of Capitol Records. It's not true. But people are getting scammed every single day from stuff like that. So like, it came out of a necessity for like our community. Black and brown people are desperate to get into these spaces, desperate to get into these rooms, to where they're falling prey and falling victim to easy scams that a lot of other people already knew not to fall for.
Wow, that's important. That's yeah. Wow, didn't even think about that, but that's so true. You should say anything you want to add?
For me, necessity as well, creating safe spaces for Black and brown, and then Black and brown queer folks. Like, there aren't a lot of spaces for us to just exist safely anymore. Like, a lot of our spaces are being gentrified here and everywhere. And so the fact that I have a brick and mortar space where people can come and have a party and just be exactly who they are at all times is healing for me. And that's the core tenet of my work, is healing. And so creating those healing spaces, not just for me, but for folks around me, it's been healing for folks to pour into that. And so creating the collective was out of necessity for safe spaces, for us to be performers, for us to be dancers, and my best friend drums, and like, just to have those spaces where we can get free. So yeah.
Yes. And it was like, as soon as you said drums, it was like a drum. I don't know if anybody else heard that, but it was like do do do. Anyway, sidebar. But yes, that the necessity is real. And to know that you're safe in a space, and for it to be explicitly stated and programmed accordingly is also a huge thing as well. So love that. So you all are incredible people, creatives, beings, and how I just want you all to share kind of how you created a name for yourself, how you created just how you are now, how you exist in the world, and became a trusted, collaborator, sought after space holder. How did that come about? If you can even explain that bit.
I think I mentioned this a couple of times earlier. As far as reaching across the table, my success has come through relationships from my friends who I've worked with. That's how, I've been able to work on commercials and then work with different artists. It starts with my two best friends, one I've known since 5 years old, who introduced me to the next person who I know for the last 10 years, and everything else has come, it's because of those two. So for me, start with your family and friends, closest people with you. That's how I got to everything I've had.
I love that.
Yes.
5 years old, that's a long time.
Man's working. Yeah, I definitely echo that sentiment. I truly believe in being your authentic self gets you into a lot of spaces, but also having a mentor is definitely a big thing for me. When it comes to networking, I love to go horizontal and connect with the people on the same level as me, connect with people who are building as well, so we can, stay connected, grow together, and eventually change the world. But I'm also very huge on networking vertically. I don't mind reaching out and shooting a DM, shooting an email to somebody who's much higher and much more advanced, because like Patience touched on, you need people who are out of your league. You can't get into certain spaces or certain windows by yourself. You need someone who's already charted that path, who can already say, yo, that person screwed me and 13 other people. Do not talk to that person because they will burn you. Go this route. Let me connect you to another one of my friends who has done X, Y, and Z. Building those authentic and holistic relationships helped me get extremely far.
I enjoy being of service to people, right? So I love for the last 15 years, I've been in a supportive role. And so having to own a building has really made me step up outside of a supporting role in a particular way. But because I've been of service to several artist collectives and several spaces over the years, people are willing and have seen something in me that they want to support. And so that's how I got to be able to do so many things as of being of service. And it helps that I'm also in a band that has been together for 10 years. And so we have a little bit of a name in DC and Baltimore and Maryland and Virginia. And so folks, when they hear the name BOOMscat around here, folks kind of get a little excited. So oh, you're part of BOOMscat, Asha? And again, what I lack, my bandmate, she makes up for. She's very social. Everybody loves her, all the things. And so because I'm also associated with her, folks are like, well, you might be cool. And so having that name, and again, having a mentor, having friends, having people that you work with kind of vouch for you and have people want to reach out has been a game changer for me. My mentor, and then folks being a part of my life saying, oh, Patience has a thing.
I love that. And people get a lot excited, i.e. I'm one of them, definitely a fan. So excited about that. But yeah, I love that. Pretty much all of this has been about being you and being in a space or navigating to spaces where you can be the best version of yourself and help others be the best version of themselves as well. So this is a Zoom meeting webinar full of folks who are here for, like we said, the collective, here for themselves, but also here for others. And that's why you guys are just killing it in the game. So this is incredible. So we all know that social media is important. We talked about it earlier with the whole collaborations and networking and things like that. So for your collectives, how do you create a strong presence on social media and getting the word out about your collective and what you do?
We have built sometimes for our events. Recently, I think what we did was we all posted baby pictures of ourselves to lead into the event, because our last event was in Brooklyn, and we used for the Brooklyn event, we used we used the baby picture for Biggie. So that was kind of like how we bridged all of our social media together, and obviously having a social media for the collective at the same time. So just coming up with branding opportunities, I guess, that will connect you all and make people say, okay, what's going on over here? Oh, okay, I see y'all all together. Y'all doing this together. So yeah, I mean, having somebody who's good at marketing on your team.
That idea was brilliant. That's really cool.
To add to that, I would say for us, for Collective 25, we do this thing where like it's called the blackout. So like everybody it'll be hashtag blackout and this hashtag Collective 25. And everybody will post a performance video at the exact same time on the exact same day. So now all the timelines are flooded with like creatives. And it's like, okay, why does everybody have hashtag Collective 25 or Juneteenth, blah, 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 blah. Let me click this hashtag. And once you follow that link, now you see all the other creatives on that specific project, all posting videos, all posting messages, all posting, what their specific medium is. And now you're engaged. And now you're like, okay, I like this violinist. I like this artist. I like this chef. Let me follow and, keep up. And we also promote everybody to go and comment on other videos. So now we're boosting engagement and just flooding Twitter and Instagram and, providing that whole blanket coverage.
At the moment, I'm a Canva warrior, so I use a lot of Canva
Yes.
to create my things. But I'm a strong believer in copy, like in really strong copy. Like your captions are really important, even if they're long. Like if they are fun, if they're funny, if they're hilarious, people will want to read them. And that is one of the things that I'm actually really good at is writing copy. And so I think that has really helped draw people into some of our events, the hilarity of it, and they get to experience that in real time. So I'm a strong believer in great copy, great captions. Like even people when they don't want to be able to read, or if they're not into reading captions, if it's funny, if it hooks you in, they'll get into it. So no one and no more.
Love that. So we got to get you a marketing person, get some creative ideas like Cam, and go ahead and get you a copywriter, because not a lot of people can write copy and funny copy at that. So know your strengths. If you got it, do it. If you don't, hire somebody. Love that. Love that. All right. So we're going to jump right into the Q&A. We have a question for Patience. What is your sign, your moon sign? Wait, what is your sign, moon, and rising? Sorry, yeah.
I'm a Virgo sun, Cancer rising, Taurus moon.
And there you go. Just rattle it off straight like that because you're a pro. And then we have another question from David. They ask, how have you reached out to those people who are out of your reach, quote unquote? What sort of things are you saying or asking when looking to connect?
That's my favorite. Let me jump on that one. I am not afraid to slide in anybody's DMs. I know that everybody is checking everything on Instagram, even if they pretend like they're not. We still in the pandemic. So I know y'all see my DMs coming through. But one of the biggest things is don't just come in from an aspect of what can they do for you. You have to offer some type of value. Like whenever I reached out, so one of my mentors is Tone, and he's like an artist manager, like a huge artist manager. I reached out to him 2 years ago when I was just moving into LA, and I was like, hey, I'm brand new to LA. I want to get into the artist management space. I saw you speak at X, Y, and Z panel. I would love to just pick your brain. I've been doing this, that, and the other, and I love to help with any project I can. It's adding that value of like, yo, I'm here to work and I want to help you out. And a lot of people resonate with that because they don't want to just, okay, you want to pick my brain? I've got videos online. Go watch those. What are you doing that's different, that gets my attention, that makes me want to reach back and help? So that's my biggest point. I will hit anybody's DMs and they usually get a response. I'm not going to lie. The worst thing they can say is no or not respond. So I always shoot that shot. Shoot
your shot. Love that. Awesome. Well, we have come to the top of the hour. This is like just unheard of. So great that I'm so glad that we were able to get so much information in. I just want to say thank you, all of you all. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Patience. This has been an incredible panel full of just beautiful information. So thank you guys so much for gifting all of your expertise on this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, of course, of course. All right, y'all. So like I said, we have come to the end of our time together. This was In Session. I am Kristen, aka Like Water, and I hope that you check us out next time. Until then, it has been a pleasure.
Distill the dust that gently bows from the beat of a hunger that can't be drowned. I could breathe this bliss on the world.